Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah, and welcome back to The Faithful Path, where every Saturday I break down the connection between our daily lives and the beautiful religion of Islam, how they both have an impact on each other, and discuss the issues we all have practicing our religion nowadays. So, without further ado, the podcast starts now.
سبيل الدموع سبيل مريح.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, wa salatu wassalam ala Rasulillah. Welcome back, guys, to the fourth interview of The Faithful Path. Today we have a special guest, a good friend of mine, that is going to talk a little bit about his football career. Because sometimes when we work so hard on something or when we have one foot ahead in pursuing our dreams, there's this huge obstacle that comes and ruins everything. We either give up, delay our plan, or we keep our head up and have hope that we will come back even stronger. So let's all give a warm welcome to my good friend Azzeddine Gherbi. Assalamu alaikum, Azzeddine.
Alaikum salam.
How are you today?
Good. Thank you for having me today.
No problem. It's actually an honor for me to have you.
No, the pleasure is mine.
It's a pleasure. So just to start off, just present yourself to the audience.
Okay, as you said, my name is Azzeddine Gherbi. I graduated in computer science last year, so then I'm done with school. So I'm Algerian. Come from an Algerian background. My parents were born in Algeria, and after I completed my degree last year, I've pursued, as he said, my objective, and I decided to go in Portugal to play soccer.
Okay, so good intro. So before we start the three questions, I just want to ask you something quick. What made you decide to take the next or the first step in your football career?
I think it's a combination of three main factors. So the first one is obviously having finished my degree,
Mm-hmm.
I was able to leave to Portugal without leaving anything behind
Yeah.
unfinished. And this also allowed me to have the approval of my parents and my peers. So this is an important step, I think. It applies to many different aspects, but this would be step one. Number two would be, sometimes we do see it as a dream and everything, but there's financial constraints that
Yeah,
come with
for
it. You
sure.
have to live, you have to eat,
You have to save up too
Exactly.
as well.
So it did take some time to
Mhm.
have this, not financial freedom, but at least to be able to make the move to
Mhm.
Portugal. So I reached this step about the same time I finished my degree. So having worked, having saved up quite a bit. And then the last step would be, so right now I'm 22.
Mhm.
When I left, I was 21. And time is important,
Yeah,
especially
for
in
sure.
sports. You can't,
Mhm.
I wouldn't be able to do the same things
Yeah.
at 28 as
Mhm.
I would in 21, or as I would have been able to at
Yeah.
18. But it is what it is. So
Mhm.
I've realized that the time was running short. So it was the time
That's
to go
true
in.
because like right now we see a lot of young, like motivating players like 16, 17,
Exactly.
18 years old already playing like Barcelona and stuff.
Yeah, you don't have time
That's
to sit
actually
around and
that's
but you
crazy.
have to.
But like which team did you play for in Portugal during your time there?
So I played with a small team near Lagos, for those who know. So it's in the
Mhm.
south of Portugal. The name of the team was Odiakshire.
Oh, the actual.
So it was a small team in 4th division. Obviously, it's not glamorous
Mhm.
as maybe Porto or whatever,
Start
but
small.
exactly, it was a small town,
Yeah.
small team. The people who used to come watch the game were the people of the town.
Yeah.
So maybe a town of, let's say, maybe 5,000 people.
Mhm.
So it's a lot different than Montreal, but
Oh,
it's good to have experienced
yeah,
something like this.
that's true. Okay, so Asdin, the first question for today
Mhm.
is how did you adapt to the cultural shift in and new lifestyle in Portugal, knowing that you would have to change your daily routine, have less time with family, friends, and yourself, and also becoming a future pro athlete?
I think the adaptation is not the same at the beginning and at the end. So what I mean by that is, when I first arrived in Portugal, obviously it's something new.
Yeah.
So you have the wave of excitement, new country, new language, you play the
Mhm.
sport you love. And at that point, it's not too difficult to adapt and to remain
Yeah.
the person you are, right? Because everything's going great. But as things move on, right, the
Mhm.
excitement wears off. And that's where it becomes important to have something to hold on to, because let's say 3 months in, You start missing your family, you start missing your friends, your country. The language at first was interesting, but you're realizing that you still can't make a phrase. It's 3 months in, people
Yeah,
expect you
that's
to be
true.
able to speak, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the realities start to hit you. And you need to train every day. It's not something that's easy at first.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, you love soccer, but no matter how much you love something, if you do it every day, it's at some
Yeah,
point
it's
it's going to
hard.
become a burden.
Mm-hmm.
And what really helped me was to have something stable to fall back on, right? So
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was first, uh, I was calling my parents almost every day.
Yeah.
So it gives you kind of this reset. At
Mm-hmm.
night, you did your day, you
Mm-hmm.
call your parents, and
That's true.
obviously sometimes, yeah, you talk for 2 minutes, but sometimes
Mm-hmm.
you talk for a bit, and it's a good relief to have.
Mm-hmm.
And also, religion is something that helps in the sense that you have this routine, you have
Mm-hmm.
this rock you can hold on to. So the adaptation is easier because no matter what, your daily routine does not change too much from how it was over here, or at least it
Mm-hmm.
changes gradually.
Yeah.
Because you will pray 5 times a day, you will do what you need to do, and at night you call your parents. So you have
Mm-hmm.
this kind of resemblance to what you had over here.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not completely
Yeah.
like thrown out the window.
That's true.
And then the rest is gradual. Obviously, you need to persevere. So to learn the language is something that's important. Every day I spent an hour or maybe 30 minutes on some days where I do
Nice.
not
That's
have that much time
important. Yeah.
to learn. And it may be just talking with someone for 30 minutes to an hour, to be open, to make mistakes, to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Because especially at first, the way you talk, the phrases don't make sense.
Yeah.
You wrongly use words,
Mm-hmm.
but you need to still do it. So I used to do
Mm-hmm.
this for an hour. I used to wake up at a certain time and really have a routine
Mm-hmm.
to train. And I think having this routine allows you to, because when you have a routine, your body's just gonna
Used
follow
to
the
it.
routine, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's
exactly.
used
You,
to it.
you don't have to think about,
Yeah.
okay, I
Mm-hmm.
need to do this, and you're just gonna do it,
Yeah.
and then use the rest of the energy to
Focus on other
exactly to stick
things.
through
Yeah,
and
that's
to
true.
keep your mental state where it needs to be.
Mm-hmm.
I think really having a routine was the key. So
Mm-hmm.
starting from religion to parents to working out at some point to
Mm-hmm.
everything that falls after.
That's true. And did you have like also like some time for yourself, maybe your personal growth or your side work that you did here?
Especially at the beginning because I went in
Mm-hmm.
June and I was still working.
Oh yeah, the
So
season like didn't start yet.
yeah, the season
Mm-hmm.
didn't start. The season starts in August,
Mm-hmm.
September. I was still working up to beginning of September.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I obviously had to take time out
Mm-hmm.
to dedicate to this. But since the season had not started just yet, um, the vibe was a little bit more relaxed. So
Mm-hmm.
I also had time to go out with friends, to eat out, take time for myself to do what I
Yeah.
like to do. But obviously, this I had little, like more and
Mm-hmm.
more,
Less time.
exactly as
Yeah.
time went on and as the season progresses and as the
Yeah.
stakes got higher
Or
and higher.
that's true. Okay, so for question number two, actually, before I ask, just explain to the audience because I know, but why did you come back to Montreal and what happened in Portugal?
So unfortunately, I came back against my will. So the season is obviously not finished.
Yeah.
It finishes in soon, probably mid-May. Um, I came back due to an injury. So people who play sports and whatnot. So I've torn my ACL.
Fortunately.
Unfortunately, during practice, it was a small contact. I didn't think this was going to be the result, but
Mm-hmm.
so I ended up having to come back forcefully. And so right now I'm in rehab. I'm trying
Rehab
to
again.
get back to where I
Okay.
was.
Yeah. Okay, so the second question is after the news of the injury, how did you mentally realize that your injury could potentially delay your football career or even put it to an end? And what strategies did you employ to cope with this uncertainty?
Okay, before answering, I think there's two things I need to preface.
Mm-hmm.
The first is the injury came at a particular time. So, as I said before, when you play soccer for so long, at some point it becomes a burden. So I wasn't enjoying practice as much. I wasn't enjoying the games as much as I did in the beginning. And I started to long for Montreal. I wanted to come back. I wanted to see my family, to see my friends. So I was not exactly in a state where I wanted to stay no matter the price. Even though this is kind of what pushed it. Yeah, exactly. It's what put me in this situation in the first place. But at that moment, the moment of injury, I wanted to come back to Montreal. So this lessened the mental burden of the injury. So that's number one. Number two is when you injure yourself, you go through phases, right? So
for sure.
The day I injured myself, like the moment of the injury, with the traumatic stress, the pain and everything, you don't think about the future. You just think about the moment. Then the day after, what happens is you wake up, you realize you got injured. You can't walk, you can't do this, you can't do that. But you still tell yourself, maybe it's just this, maybe it's just that. I've had injuries before.
That's true.
So you're kind of in a state of denial. You don't realize. And obviously I didn't get the MRI. I didn't have any results just yet. So that lasts for maybe a week. Then after a week, you realize it's been a week, I still can't walk. There has to be something more.
Be something serious.
Exactly. So you go, you take the MRI. The doctor tells you, I think it's this, and it might be that. So for me, he told me, you tore your MCL. So that's 2 months. So it's bad, but it's not too bad, right? And he said you might have torn your ACL, but we will see. So then the fact he told me you might, I'm relying on the hope. I'm saying, okay, I probably didn't. I'm sure it's only my MCL. A couple of days go by, I get the result. He tells me, tore your MCL, you tore your ACL, you did this, and he just keeps going. And I'm like, no, there's no way. And then it hits you, and then you're like, yeah, I wanted to come back, but then I'm out for 2 months, I'm out for 6 months. What will I do? And you start having all these thoughts. And that's where I think it's very, very important to, especially for us Muslims, to understand that you need to leave your destiny in the hands of the one who created it, right?
So true.
You need to stop trying to control everything and control what you can, and what you cannot, you leave in the hands of you rely on the best of planners, the best. And obviously it's easier said than done. So at the moment you start telling you why I shouldn't have went into that contact, I shouldn't have done that dribble. You start thinking about all these variables. I was thinking because back in December I had the opportunity to change teams. I was thinking I should have changed teams, and you start going back months before and rethinking decisions you made. And you should not do this. This is toxic. This is bad for your mental health. But obviously, you will go through the phase, but you need to get out as fast as possible. My parents really helped me with that. So when I told my parents, they told me, don't worry about it. Like it's an injury. We'll see when you heal, and you'll heal quick, and you'll get back to doing what you want to do. So I think support from your friends and family, even you, the rest of my friends, really helped me through it. And you pray to God, you make your du'as, and slowly but surely I started to understand that maybe there was a good hidden in this bad situation. And I started to not thank the injury, but be grateful for the good things that came out of the injury. Coming back, getting to see my family. Maybe it was better for me to come back at this point. Maybe if I would have stayed, something worse would have happened. So my mindset completely flipped. I started to see it as a positive thing, and I think this is the best that can happen. And especially, well, people who've gotten bad injuries, they know about this. But the worst part is, even after you've healed, if mentally you're still stuck on the injury, you're never going to get back to playing how you were before. So it's really, really important to let go of the injury and accept that it is what it is. If it happens again, it happens again, no problem. I'll just play how I want to
Mhm.
play, right? Because if you still stay stuck on the injury, it's never gonna go away,
Yeah,
right?
you're gonna be like so scared that it's gonna happen again.
Exactly,
Then you're gonna watch out how you play. You're gonna be careful and everything. So,
exactly. It's very, very
mhm,
important to leave these things
in the hands of
away from
God.
your hand,
Yeah,
in the hands of God.
that's
Exactly.
true. Good answer, man. And last question for today
Hmm.
is coming back to Montreal, what have you learned during your period in Portugal in terms of physical, mental, and spiritual aspects? And also, do you think you will have the opportunity to go back in the future?
So obviously, I've learned a lot. So physically, let's start with that. So maybe the most obvious of all,
Hmm.
you learn to take care of your body. You learn to eat right, to
Stay
be at your
fit.
peak, exactly, stay
Yeah,
fit. Something you also learn is the capabilities of your body, because
that's true.
if you, at least for me, I've never trained as much as I did in Portugal, and you really realize that the body is capable of amazing things.
Hmm.
When you do the same thing day after day, day after day, day after day, you become really, really good and consistent with this thing, right? So I've gotten more belief maybe in my body, you could say that. Learned to take care of it, as I said. And also regarding the injury, you also realize how frail it is. Despite
Yeah.
being strong, you realize
Hmm.
that no one
Something
is, yeah,
like I actually can't believe like something so small like this can actually
exactly.
ruin like the
Because
whole part of your
you
leg.
know, but for those
Yeah,
watching, it wasn't a big hit or slide
yeah.
tackle from 20 meters. It was a
Hmm.
small hit to the
Small
side of
hit.
my knee,
Yeah.
so small, like you would have. I've went through
Hmm.
so much worse
Exactly.
in all my years of playing,
And
but
this is
this is
the
what killed
thing.
me, exactly. So you do you learn how frail the body
Hmm.
is, and I think it's good to keep that in mind. It humbles you in a sense,
That's true.
but to also know that despite it being frail, it is an amazing creation.
Hmm.
So physically, I'd say this is the main aspects.
Hmm.
Now mentally, um, one thing for me that really hit me is things are never as you think they are
Hmm.
until you've experienced them. So before going to Portugal, I thought it was gonna be a dream. I was
Yeah.
gonna be in paradise, playing soccer every day, being with
Yeah.
friends. I could go out when I wanted, go out to eat, to do this. You go the first few weeks, the first few months, it is as you
It's
think,
nice,
but
but
then it
then
hits
it's
you
yeah.
that nothing is
Yeah.
can be this good.
Hmm.
Um, you start despising the training. You don't want to go to games. Don't want to
Hmm.
go out. You just want to stay in bed and do nothing. And it's a good lesson. So sometimes we see those stars. Maybe we see those players. We see those billionaires. We see those singers. Whatever it may be. We think they have the perfect life. They do not. And I
Hmm.
realize that when people say a lot of rich people, a lot of popular
Hmm.
people, a lot of famous people are depressed, it is
Yeah.
true. Like it's really not as we think it is. So never think the grass is greener on the other side.
Hmm.
And mentally, this is a big step for me. Right?
Yeah.
It's really something I've internalized, even though we've all heard it before. But to see it with my own eyes, it gave me kind of it freed me of this
Hmm.
jealousy we sometimes have towards
Yeah. That's
successful
true.
people. So mentally, this would be the biggest, along with you
Hmm.
learn to be determined, to persevere, and
Discipline and everything. Yeah.
exactly discipline. Um, but these are things obviously I've
Hmm.
experienced even before, like to learn discipline and perseverance.
Yeah.
So I really know the big one as being to understand that
Hmm.
people don't have it better as you,
Yeah.
to appreciate what you have, and spiritually, obviously, as I've said before, to accept your destiny, to leave things
Hmm.
in the hands of God. But also, I feel like I've strengthened my faith by
Hmm.
being in an environment where there's so few Muslims. Because the thing is, it's easy to think you're doing much when you're with people who do nothing, right?
Hmm.
So if let's say I go to Saudi or I go to a Muslim country and people pray every day.
Yeah.
People fast on Mondays, they fast on Thursdays, they do this, they do that. If you're not praying the 5 prayers, you'll feel as if you're behind. Now in Portugal, where no one does nothing, and there are obviously, it's not like there's no Muslims, but the culture is not as as strong as in exactly. Yeah. So even praying 1 prayer, 2 prayers, you feel like, oh, I'm doing like a lot, but Muslim exactly, but you're not even doing the basics, right? Yeah. And getting through that and getting to stick with the level of faith I want to uphold myself to in that that environment. When I came back over here, I feel like my faith has strengthened because I was able to keep it despite people not doing this, people not doing that. Another good thing I like regarding the fact that there's so few Muslims is, let's say in Montreal, where there's quite a bit of Muslims, when you see a Muslim, you don't always salam to brother and do this, because you see maybe 100, 1,000 a day. In Portugal, you see them so rarely that when you see one,
you want to talk to them.
Yeah, you talk to them. Exactly. I'll give you an example. There's one. There's one spot where you could go and get food. So my friends used to go. I never went. And then one day I went with them. I go and then I see the guy. He's obviously from Morocco. I talk to him. He's Muslim. Then he's happy to see me because he never gets Muslim customer. I'm happy to see him. And directly we link. He starts telling me, "Nah, let me give you this. You come eat whenever you want." And there's a bond that's created like instantly just from the fact there's so few Muslims. And I think this is something that's beautiful. I wish it could be the same, even no matter the amount of Muslims. Right? But to summarize, I think the important point I've learned spiritually is to leave things in the hands of God and to keep your faith no matter if there's 1,000 people praying or no people praying. You should pray.
You should pray. That's right. And do you think you will have like the opportunity to go back in the future?
The opportunity, I'm sure. Now, will I go? Will the opportunity be worth the sacrifices that go along with it? This is something I'll have to see. It depends on a lot of things. Depends on the recovery. Depends on the perspective I'll get. So this is a question I have to leave unanswered.
Inshallah, in the future we'll see.
Inshallah.
Okay, so before the 5 rapid questions, I just wanna let you give one advice to the audience. Like, what's one advice would you give to people who actually work so hard, and as soon as there's like an obstacle or there's like a setback for them, they just give up or they lose hope because everything went wrong?
I think one advice I could give is we should be grateful for setbacks and for the obstacles we face in life. Obviously, from a spiritual standpoint, when you're tested is when you're rewarded the most.
That's true.
The harder the test, the bigger the reward.
Yeah.
So this is a mentality we need to adopt as Muslims, to welcome tests and do our best to get through them. And obviously, as we all know, you will not be burdened with more than you can bear. But from a spiritual standpoint, from a mental standpoint, I think the best way to enjoy life and to go through life is to strive to be the best person you can be. Especially for a man, to set objectives and go with everything you have to get those objectives. And obstacles only obviously make you stronger once you get through these obstacles. So at the end of the day, they bring you closer to the person you want to be, to the best person you could be. So when you see an obstacle, be thankful to not have been granted an easy path, because an easy path will never make of a strong walker, right?
That's true.
An easy path will make of an easy person.
Normal, yeah.
Welcome the obstacle, get through the obstacle, and look at the person you will be after the obstacle, and keep your eyes on the path, right?
Mhm.
So I think this is the best advice I can give. And once you get that mindset that obstacles are welcomed and no longer despised, life is so much more enjoyable, so much more free in a sense. So I wish we could all get there.
This
Even me,
obstacle,
I'm not there yet, but
because like everyone says, like without like some pain in your life, you're never like you will never become stronger or the
exactly,
person you never thought you would be. You know.
exactly.
That's true. Okay, so now time for the 5 rapid questions. Time to have some fun. The first question is, what's the dream club you would like to play for?
I know I might get some hate for this, but I'd like to play for Manchester United.
Manchester United.
And it may not be the best time to answer this, but
Manchester United. Wow. Okay, that's nice. The second question is, who's your mentor that helps you pursue your dreams?
oof. This is a tough question. It may be cliche, but I'll go with my dad.
Oh wow, your dad.
Especially in this day and age, you see so many quote quote masculinity figures, whether it be on social media or whatever. But sometimes they're not so far, right? We can see in our own families,
Yeah.
especially people like us whose parents have immigrated here in Canada. We need to understand it's huge what they did, right? So they left everything behind, their families, they left the culture they know,
Yeah.
the culture they love, to come to a country which is not necessarily always welcoming to them. All of this for the sole purpose of
Of their
making us
family,
better,
their
exactly.
kids. Yeah.
And this, I think this is the greatest example of masculinity. And this is the example we should follow. It's a feat of courage, it's a feat of determination, of perseverance, of love, of generosity towards
Yeah.
us. It shows so many things. I think everything I need, at least
Wow.
for now, I can find in my dad, and I hope one day I can
Inshallah.
be a little bit like him.
Nice. What an answer. The third question is, if the football career like doesn't work, what would you like to do in life, like profession wise?
Profession wise, I think I'd go with my computer science degree. It's something that I love. It's something that I'm relatively good at. So I think I'll pursue it now.
Perfect. Fourth question, if I give you a time machine right now and you can only use it once, would you go to the past or to the future, and why?
If say I would go to the future, would that mean I would stay in the future? I would go
No,
see
just go
everything's wrong
seek back
and come back, or
yeah,
go
go
in
to the
the.
past, come back. Just once. You can only use it once.
Even though the future, I think you can get more out of going to the future, because obviously if you have information about the future, it's more useful than information on the past. But I'll still choose the past.
Yeah.
Because the future eventually you're gonna see, and I take the opportunity to go to the past and see something that maybe has never been seen before.
That's true. Okay. And finally, the last question is, in the future with your wife and kids, of course,
Inshallah.
which dream country would you like to live in?
Oof. Europe, I think, is out of the picture. I know some people love Europe, but maybe my experience was in Portugal.
Yeah.
Europe, I think it's too crowded. There's everything is too close. I like it a little bit like here, where it's more spaced out. Obviously, a Muslim country would be nice, but it comes along with so many different aspects. I wouldn't be too knowledgeable like to answer this. So I think I'll stick with. I kind of like Canada, honestly. Besides the weather and whatnot, but I think Canada is great. So I think I'll stick with Canada for now.
Stick with Canada. So thank you so much, Azzeddine, for
No,
having
thank
me.
you for having me.
Thank you. It's been an honor. Thank you for your answers, your advices.
No, it's a pleasure.
It's like truly inspiring what you think and what you do in life.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to like, follow, and share. And I'll see you next week on The Faithful Path. Assalamu alaikum.